What's up, people? I'm back with another podcast episode from the Jump Rope community. I am your host, L.R.Player. It's been a minute. I was apologize, but I'm pretty sure y'all tired of me apologizing. So we're gonna go on from there. So my next guest is Hail from Canada. She is a physio assistant, and she has like a lot of remarkable content evolving around like corrective exercises. She also do jump rope. Cause basically this is the Jump Rope podcast. So let me not keep messing up this intro and introduce my friend. Uh, Click Danae Belair. Did I
Hi.
get it?
Yes, we did it.
so so in the beginning, like before we hit record, I was trying to like pronounce the word physio, but I accidentally called her a psycho assistant. One of those embarrassing moments that we didn't get a chance to record, and I'm glad because that was not a good first impression. How you doing today, Benet?
Good, good.
Danae.
Caught me a little off guard, but we moved past it.
Like, oh my God, where did this come off from?
All good, all good.
So tell us about your jump rope origin.
My origin,
Yes.
which every jump roper has one. I was literally, and it's probably similar to most jump ropers. I was scrolling through Instagram and saw a video. I think the first one I saw was Nicole Danielle Fitness. I don't know if you know her.
Yes. She from the UK, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I don't know. I hadn't looked at anything jump rope related before. It just popped up on my feed, and I was like, "That's cool. I want to do that." And I had like one of those wire ropes. I had been doing CrossFit a couple years prior, so I had one of those already. And I went outside and used it for probably like 5 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. But that was essentially, I just saw it, was like, cool, I want to do that. Did it the one time, and then I didn't do it for a month. And I forget what like brought me back to it, but I was like, if this is something that I actually want to pursue and get good at, then I need to set like some sort of schedule or something to keep me on track, so that I can actually get good at this. So I didn't do it for a month after that first session, and then I picked it back up. I told myself I would do minimum 3 times of practice a week. Um, and like ever since I decided that, essentially, I've been continuing with that.
What was some of the basic moves you was doing with the wire rope? Because I'm pretty sure you wasn't like busting out crazy crossovers yet.
No.
No?
No. And like in the beginning, I wasn't really like, I followed her after that. I think I found Geraldo after that. Rahul Ropes was one of
Right.
the first accounts I followed. Rush, like the big ones.
Right.
But that's pretty much like all I was following. So I didn't really have like much to go off of at that point. So just like basic footwork is kind of what I started with, like straddles, cross steps, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I started getting like more interested in footwork kind of from there. So I started trying to learn like shuffling and stuff like that. Crossovers were actually like a big one for me. Like those were hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking back now, I'm like, it feels so wild that those were like so hard to get down. But yeah, that was like one of the major, probably like something that involved your arms and your feet, not like just footwork. That was probably the first one that I learned, other than like side swings.
So I feel like it's backwards for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm still really not good at shuffling and footwork, and I feel like I just got like two left feet when it comes to that. But it's crazy because you see me like doing all these crazy combinations and
Hmm.
behind the back tricks and 360s and stuff. But when it comes to like shuffling, it's like above my pay grade.
Yeah, I feel like everyone kind of like finds their like niche skill set.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all, well, I can't speak for everyone, but like myself, I kind of want to know like a little bit of everything. But footwork is probably still like my passion and kind of like my go to. And it's a lot easier for me to pick up than other
Mm.
skills.
Do you choreograph a lot of your footwork routines?
I probably do that less now.
Mm-hmm.
I think just because I know more like autonomically that I can just kind of like freestyle it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before and in the beginning a lot, I tended to like kind of write it down and like this is what I want to put together. And I would spend like a lot of dedicated time on that,
Mm-hmm.
which in hindsight I probably would do it differently now. I think I got like kind of caught up in putting together like a combo that looks good.
Right.
Um, but I mean, like we all kind of go through our own process and way of figuring things out, right?
Right. Do you like kind of visualize what you want to do instead of like you said in the beginning you write it down like
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of both now. And like it's easier for me to kind of like, as soon as I start, if what I imagined like doesn't work together, it's a lot easier for me to on the spot just kind of like switch it or
yeah,
find something that goes better.
take something
Um,
out or put something in the between it or
yeah. Or
yeah.
just like change up say like the sequencing or something like that. It's a lot easier now to kind of just like figure things out on the spot as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to like having to pre-plan it.
Yeah. So as you go along in your jump rope journey, now you find that there's other people, especially in Canada near you, that jumps. Like, so tell us, like, how big was that for you? There's like, okay, it's not. I'm not doing this by myself. There are more people around me. Especially when you get a chance to collab, because I've seen a couple of videos with you and Andy and Elise or Elsie. I'm probably
Yeah. At least,
Elsie,
yeah.
Ellis, yeah. So see, there I go butchering people names again, people. Uh, so tell us about like that feeling when you figure out that there's other people around you locally and that you can interact and like learn and bounce ideas off each other.
Yeah, for sure. So Elise was actually like a really big catalyst in kind of like introducing me to the community.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember like when she followed me on Instagram, she like immediately remixed one of my videos, and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" Like she's incredible. Why is she like picking my stuff? So like a confidence boost for sure. And then I think like not long after that, she had arranged like our first meetup. And like before jump rope,
Mm-hmm.
definitely not a person to just like meet up with strangers.
Yeah.
Very out of my comfort zone. But I don't know, something about this community. I just like I wanted to meet up with other people that were doing the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I met up with her, and then like after that first one, I just like I had so much fun with her and Andy. She brought Andy along as a surprise. I didn't even know she was coming to that one. But yeah, it was so much fun. And then after that, I think like that was maybe in the fall of last year. Time gets away from me now, but
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a
the
minute.
the summer following, like Jump Rope Canada is Toronto based.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not too far from me. So in the summer, I started going to like their meetups that they have downtown. And then yeah, just like the amount of people I met there was great. And then just like all the different skill sets you get to see, and like I've come away like learning something every time. So it's really great to just interact with everyone.
Do you feel it's gonna get? Do you feel it's gonna get bigger, or do you feel that it's gonna grow? As I mean, as far as Jump Rope Canada, Toronto based, like the community there, you feel like it's gonna grow bigger by next spring or next summer, like just the way how y'all orchestrate everything.
I'm hoping so. I feel like over like the times that I went, like it seemed to be, I mean, it's dependent always. In the summer, people are around, people aren't. It's kind of hard.
Right.
But I feel like it has grown, and I think jump rope in general has grown, which can probably be attributed to that. Sometimes it's hard to know if I'm just seeing it grow like from like what I can see on social media, or
Mm-hmm.
if it is actually like becoming more popular. But I feel like over the past maybe like 6 months or so, like even in the gym, like I've seen more people skipping,
Mm-hmm.
just like taking their ropes out on the gym floor. So I feel like overall it is expanding. And I know there are a lot of jumpers like in the Toronto area.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just like having that social media presence so that people can like find that community.
Mm-hmm.
Which Jump Rope Canada is really good at kind of like letting themselves be known that they're there as a support. So I know, like from the very beginning, I picked up a rope. They were always supporting me, so it's been a nice little family to have.
Yeah. Back to the earlier statement you said about like from as far as like us being in it, we can see it that is growing, but I often do wonder, like people on the outside see jump rope growing. Like I think about that a lot, like cause like okay, you got us um, just doing it recreational. Then you got competitive. Then you
Hmm.
got jump rope as far as boxing. Excuse
Yeah,
me. And then you got jump rope in like CrossFit in CrossFit, but they mainly do like
double under.
double unders, single under, like basic bounce right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else that you we got jump rope in like performances, halftime shows, circuits, carnivals. Um, but besides that, I often wonder like, hey, is it growing as big as I see it or as we vision it? Because we on the inside, you know what I'm saying, looking at it. But yeah.
Yeah, because I say that to people sometimes, like because a lot of my social media has like a lot of my followers are other jump ropers. Like it turns into like kind of your community, so it seems like a lot of people are doing it because like most of the people you interact are.
Right.
But it's harder to kind of see like outside of that,
Right.
because like sometimes I talk to everyone about jump rope.
Right.
Sometimes I'm in my own little world, and like people are often surprised that like that's a thing I do, and then I'm like, oh yeah, like not everyone is aware that this is a thing still.
Do you ever have to like, okay, be like, yeah, I jump rope and they, oh, okay, yeah, you jump rope.
Yep.
But then do you ever have to like pull out the phone and be like,
Yeah.
look, this is what I do for real? Like, oh man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to pull the phone out on a couple of people all the time.
Like
What
no, I don't just skip, like I actually do tricks, and then they're like, oh, okay, I thought you just like
you,
skipped for a really long
or
time.
just you just jumping, just recording yourself jump up and down on the rope.
Yeah.
Not yeah. Yeah, it been plenty of times that I had to pull the phone out and had to
Yeah,
wow a couple of people.
it's funny.
Um, so your social media content it evolved like your jump rope, and then it also evolved corrective exercise you do as your primary occupation, right?
Yeah, so essentially I had started this page as more of kind of like corrective and like physio. or training posts. And then I hadn't gotten into jump rope yet, so I know it has kind of like evolved a little bit into that. I try to keep like a balance of both, because they are both like a big part of what I do. Not only like for my job, but like recreationally.
Mm-hmm.
Weightlifting has always been like a really big part of my life. From the age of like 14, 15, I started working out in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always been kind of like my primary love, I guess, of fitness. But jump rope has definitely made its way in there over the last year and a bit.
Well, I will say you is doing a good job keeping a good balance between like the two content. You don't like overdo on one side and less of the other side. You kind of keep a good balance. So as like a physio, what are some of the things, and I'm not saying this is like quote unquote this is a must do, but like what are some of the things that you would say that we should do as far as like help us with jump rope? Like, okay, a lot of us get shin split, so maybe like what would you say to help prevent it? Or if you do have it, then what will we do to try to alleviate the pain or the injury?
Yeah. So definitely warm ups.
Mm-hmm.
Can't can't stress that enough. Um, I know it's not always fun or easy to warm up, but that's something. I mean, like I've dealt with injuries in the past. When I started jump rope, I was dealing with like some hip and ankle issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try to make sure that I warm up. Like if I'm jumping, if I'm weightlifting, whatever, I always like take a good chunk of time. I know not everyone has that much time available to them, but
Right.
even if you can take like 5-10 minutes just to prep the muscles that you're using. So for like jumping, I did post kind of like my go-to warm-up moves recently, but just like calf raises, like body weight squats, things like that, like just warming, getting some blood flow to the muscles. Shin splints specifically. Usually that has a lot to do with like the volume of training.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going from not jumping, how like having not jumped before, and getting into it, like you definitely want to like gradually progress the time that you're jumping. So you don't want to go into like say 30 minutes of jumping if you haven't jumped before, right?
Right.
So just like intervals of short time. Um, Definitely like not
So
per
so
sorry.
what would you say like like somebody starting to get into like leg crosses? Now you got to like find a balance of balancing on one leg. Um Sometimes like when I started I used to have like hip soreness because I'm practicing so long raising like one leg trying to get stretched under this leg trying to get that cross. So what would you say for something like that for like leg crosses like I don't
Yes.
know
So
mobility stretch or something like that?
yeah, so for that one specifically, hip flexor strengthening. So doing like standing marches with like a band. We can go off of names. Some people might not know like what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
But like long sitting on the floor and just like lifting your leg up and down. So kind of like end range hip flexion. Things like that, stretching the hip flexors as well. But like a combination of stretching and strengthening the muscles that you're targeting typically is gonna best prep them.
Mhm.
Uh, and again, like just making sure that you're not spending too much time at
Right.
once on those specific moves, right?
Right.
So just like if you're able to get a lot of practices in during the week, then maybe just spending like 10 minutes max on that one skill and then like moving on to something else.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Cause I often say ask for like one more because someone as myself, I use a lot of heavy rope. So I be kind of like taxing like my upper back or my lats a lot, especially like when I'm doing crosses
Yep.
or like double unders with the heavy rope. What would you say like some stretches or correctives on that one?
Um, yeah. Again, so if it's more like the heavy rope, I think like requires more core stability as well.
Right.
So like offsetting with some core exercises, more like core stability focus. So like dead bug for dog, things like that. Lat stretching, like if you feel like you're overworking the
Mm-hmm.
upper back, just like staying mobile in that area. I like to keep my stretches more dynamic, um, especially like warming up for
Mm.
jump rope. But like post exercise, you can do like your nice long like static stretches. But yeah, like some accessory back strengthening. I know you do a lot,
Right.
like do a lot of gymnastics now as well.
Right.
But for people that aren't into that, or aren't like in the gym very often, just like if you have a resistance band, like just doing some rowing exercises, things like that, like just keeping the upper back strong. um, I know when we do get into like the leg crosses and stuff, there is a lot of like folding that can happen.
Right.
So just making sure that we're kind of like offsetting that positioning with more like upper back strengthening.
I hope y'all paying attention to this. She is dropping gems on us, like straight gems. So so you had mentioned like with myself getting into gymnastics. You also got started getting into like another type of fitness, which I kind of saw once before, but not as frequently, and that is like aerial yoga.
Oh, yes. I
tell
love
us
it.
tell us how you got into that and like yeah
um,
yeah
Yeah, so I've always been into yoga, typically like hot yoga. Regular yoga kind of bores me, to be honest. I don't know if you can tell, but I like fitness activities that are not boring,
right
that are different, I guess. So yeah, that studio I had actually seen, like they opened quite a while ago. When I was younger, I had seen it and immediately saw it, thought it looked cool, but I kind of forgot about it over the years. And then I forget how I saw it again. I think it might have just like popped up somewhere. Um, and I was like, oh yeah, there's a place like not far from me that I wanted to try this years ago.
mm-hmm
There was like an intro offer, so I was like, I'm gonna finally just do it. Um, I did do gymnastics when I was like younger for a little bit, so I think that is what kind of like appeals to me about that. It's just
mm-hmm
like flipping and being upside down and things like that. But yeah, I did the intro class and I loved it.
right
It wasn't anything like crazy on that first one. But I think we did do like one inversion where you flip upside down, and I felt like completely comfortable. I wasn't nervous at all. And then I continued. I go probably like once a month. I don't do it like super frequently. But every time it just kind of evolves and I learn more things and I just have more fun with it. And it's just a very like welcoming open space where you can just kind of like play around with different movements. So I think that's what I like most about it.
right. Have you noticed like a lot of people in our community, they either like was in one form of fitness and then they came into jump rope, or they like in jump rope and then they kind of went into other form of fitness like myself. You have people getting into like Olympic weightlifting. You have people getting into calisthenics. What's the other one? Bar fitness.
Yep.
I want to say there's one more I was trying to think of. Like you also got like people that do kettlebell and
Yep.
so like I think it's like it's one of them things where it's like we we almost somewhat mastering this form of jump rope fitness, and now we kind of want to not per se move on, but like add something different into like our training. Like you see a lot of people doing it now, and and it also they sharing it like sharing that on their jump rope page. So how you feel about that? Like as far as like people just switching it up, but not necessarily letting the love of jump rope go.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think, again, like we see it in our communities and our circles, but I feel like more people should probably try and do that. I know, like in the fitness arena, and I've been there where we kind of get stuck in like one way of training.
Right.
And I don't think, unless you're like trying to win a competition or you have a specific goal, I don't think that necessarily does us any favors. Um, there's, I think, people that have been into their fitness for a long time, we all kind of reach like a plateau point.
Right.
And I think that is where a lot of us kind of look for something else, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And I think some people start to lose the joy of their specific training. And if you're able to find that somewhere else, then great for you. I think that is the way to go so that you can continue being healthy and doing something that you love. I think also like moving the body in different ways and not just in one specific form is also a lot better for us mentally as well as physically than just kind of staying with the same thing over and over again.
Right. That's good. That's with me because I find it mentally challenging as far as like trying to do gymnastic or some kind of form of gymnastic training because I never done it before, none in my life. Like I was always somebody that played basketball up until
Well, you wouldn't know.
right. Yeah,
You're great.
so like when I got into it, like I used to be scared that like I'm gonna throw my shoulder out of place
Yeah.
or like, but like once I started doing it and seeing like the proper drills to do, like that fear like quickly just went away. So for me to like go from jump rope and then like lifting weights and working out, doing some kind of CrossFit class here and there, then trying to learn something completely new, completely out of my area, but at the same time, mentally challenge myself to see how well my body holds up to it, which is surprisingly still intact. But um, yeah, so it's like I do find a joy of challenging myself to learn something new and slowly progress at it, which I kind of find a similarity as when I was starting out to jump rope and just knowing that I was a beginner. So it seemed like now that I'm starting gymnastics, right? Um, I don't go through the same um, I don't know what you call it, like the same as I was when I started out. Like, man, I'm not gonna be good at this. I'm not as good as somebody else. I'm not comparing myself. It's like right now I'm enjoying the process, like all of it,
Yeah. You
and
know
just
that it's a journey and
right,
that
not a
eventually,
and
yeah.
I'm not in competition. I'm not trying to
Hmm.
get sponsored by somebody, or I'm not trying to like get a whole lot of followings or nothing like that. It's just truly just the fact that like what the rewarding part of it is that I'm mentally challenging myself and physically progressing at something totally new that I never done before, and that's the part that I'm enjoying. And I see a lot of that with a lot of people in this community when they jump to something new.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what helps us continue to grow is just continuing to learn new things. I think if you're not challenging yourself, then you're just kind of staying stagnant, and that can be hard on you. I think
Right.
more mentally than physically, to be honest.
Right.
But yeah.
You got you got anything for me?
Hmm?
You got anything for me?
Oh, questions?
Yeah.
How long have you been jumping?
Um, maybe like probably like 3.5 years so far. I think.
Okay.
I kind of almost lose track right now, but I think
Yeah.
mainly like 3 years and some months probably.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah. I haven't jumped a lot like I used to, but I still try to get like at least like once or twice in sometime during the week.
I find that I go through like phases where I'll like do it quite a bit during the week, and then other weeks it's just like once or twice here and there. I mean, sometimes it's hard with your schedule and everything, right? But
Right. But
I
just enough to just try to knock the rust off or try
yeah,
to knock any rust trying to form on you.
yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I go through phases too of like wanting to learn new things and then getting tired of trying to learn new things and just
Right.
wanting to like enjoy it and just like flow with it.
I agree with that. I think a lot of us should just get out there and just enjoy it. Sometimes just put your headphones on,
Hmm.
zone out, no camera, not looking to
Yeah,
like trying to get whatever thousand views or whatever when you post a reel because the algorithm is on the fritz right now. To be honest with you,
it's all.
in my opinion, but you know,
Yeah, there was probably like a month ago where I was like really over recording and
hmm
I just wanted to enjoy it and I had stopped kind of enjoying it for a little bit because I was just putting too much pressure on everything. So I was like, I'm not recording. I'm just gonna after every like weightlifting session, I would just do like 20, 30 minutes and just kind of like flow. And it really just kind of brought like the joy back into it.
So besides the area yoga and jump rope weightlifting, is there anything new that you wanna try? Are you just thinking about trying as far as fitness wise?
Uh, I don't have anything at the moment that I'm wanting to get into. Um, I don't necessarily want to go like back into CrossFit workouts per
Mm-hmm.
se. But there's a coach who's kind of like more in that arena, and her and I are actually gonna start kind of like swapping like lessons, I guess. So I'm gonna show her some jump rope, and she's just gonna help me with like handstands and stuff like that.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, so that's something that I want to kind of like start working on more. But yeah, other than that, I'm probably just gonna stick with what I'm doing for now, but we'll see.
that's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, get to know you,
Hi, you as well.
um, calling you a psycho and all.
I don't take any offense.
That was so embarrassing, people. Do you got any positive last words for the community? You want to leave us out with?
Oh, the pressure.
Yes, I forgot to tell you to prepare a speech.
Well, I did not. Um, no, I really just want people to like when it comes to their health and fitness, I really just want people to take the pressure off and find something that they enjoy. So fitness doesn't have to look a certain way. And I know with social media, sometimes that's hard to kind of get away from. We kind of place these ideas of what things should look like on ourselves. So I just want people to try and avoid that and just focus on like what works best for them and what brings them happiness to themselves and just kind of flow with that.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
People, there you have it. Another one from the jump rope community dropping gems on you. So if you didn't pay attention to what she was saying, I advise you to play this back, listen to it. Drop her some love in the comments below. And stay tuned, even though I still haven't named this podcast, but we're gonna get to that later. But until then, it's the kid L.R.Player, my guest, Danae.
Yes. You got it.
I peace, y'all.
Thank you.